STICKERMANIA from Louisville, Kentucky. Wednesday night, January 7th, 2026. Wednesday night, usual live stream at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. How's it going out there today across the world?
I'm here.
Sticker granddaughter is going to be the moderator. It was a pretty nice day today, 50 degrees. I went to my private doctor and did my running 2 miles today. Maybe I did about 2.5 miles.
DV said, hi, Sticker family. This is Dan in South Florida.
How you doing, Dan in South Florida?
Bet it feels good there.
Yep. What's the temperature in South Florida? About 85 degrees. Going to talk a little bit about underrated Beatles, Rolling Stones, and Led Zeppelin albums. Of course, my underrated Beatles album, because it's one of my favorite, is Beatles for Sale. Little Patricia from Little Beatles Corner bought one of my tube cuts. We mailed it out to her today. And she's going to be getting a -1 stereo mid-70s tube cut, and that'll amaze her on the sound when she plays it. Another underrated album is their very first album. This is a gem import. Please Please Me stereo. The last the Beatles I had, the best stereo pressing of that went out a couple days ago. The buyer was real happy with the audiophile sound.
Daniel Castillo said, how's it going, Frank?
How you doing, Danny?
Danny Goldstein.
I got my Danny Castillo.
Yeah, Castillo was the first one.
Yeah, Danny Goldstein.
He just said hi, folks.
Yeah, hi Danny. I got my Rubber Soul promo poster coming in tomorrow from UPS. It is 34 by 22 inches, and it says on the top 12 brand new songs, and on the bottom it says great for giving or just groovy listening. That was one time that Dave Dexter got it right. A couple times he got it right. Dave Dexter, when he put the Beatles albums together. The Beatles' second album, 22 minutes of rock and roll from the beginning to the end. And the folk rock presentation of Rubber Soul, starting with I've Just Seen a Face here in the United States. I've Just Seen a Face was on Help in the United Kingdom.
He said, great poster, Frank. You will love it.
Yep.
There's a few comments.
Okay.
The Quiet Beatles Collector.
Thomas
Hello,
Crook.
everyone. Thomas Crook. Hello, everyone.
How you doing, Thomas Crook? How you doing, Patricia?
North Carolina Vinyl.
How you doing, Arthur?
DV,
I've been watching some of your videos, Arthur.
DV said almost 80 today and sunny in Florida.
80 and sunny. That's pretty nice.
Greg Field said, hey, y'all.
How you doing, Greg?
Winston said, hey.
Winston.
Oh, Boogie.
Winston, oh, Boogie.
Well, that's
yeah,
him
we
too.
know who it is. It's Ash on it.
That's your surname. Some people think it's Barry from England, but I don't think so.
Dave Evans said, hi, Frank and Sticker family. Hope y'all are doing well. The Dave Clark 5 album was worth it because thanks.
He liked it. Dave Clark 5.
The Flash and Abila Dice said, in my life it was Beatles 65 was the only way I knew those songs.
Yep.
And then he said it rained buckets in Vancouver.
Glad all over. Gabby talked about this. Glad all over the Dave Clark 5 with no instruments on the cover. The very first cover that was released in the United States of a Dave Clark 5 album.
Larry said, hi, Frank.
How you doing, Larry?
Polly said, hi, all.
Hi, Polly.
Greg Field said, looking forward to Partridge Family Lunchbox here. Thanks, Frank.
Yep, it's on its way. We mailed it out on Monday.
Either in a month.
Oh, well, we'll talk about something that took a month here in a second. Dave Clark 5, this is the USA 1970s pressing 2 LP set, all in true stereo. They only did the true stereo pressings in the 70s on Dave Clark 5. I showed the UK last week, and this is the USA. It's got not quite as good a pressing as Dave Evans got, but it has different songs on it. Like Having a Wild Weekend, Sitting Here Baby, I like that song a lot. Concentration Baby, Inside and Out. Bernadette, Hurting Inside.
North Carolina vinyl pickers. I'm going to do a Beatles show soon. Show what I have and growing up with them in the 70s.
Somebody put out a Beatle tag. I'm kind of thinking about doing the Beatle tag 2026.
I'm the Paul should not be allowed to die set any way you want it by the Dave Clark 5 is a fabulous 45 on Canadian Capital.
Any way you want it. This has got a song that was almost as big a hit as Glad All Over on it. It is Bits and Pieces. I've had this album cover before that had the hype sticker for, includes Bits and Pieces. All right, let's go back to our underrated albums. Hard Day's Night is underrated a little bit because it's all Lennon and McCartney songs on it, and over time you play that a lot. This is a German pressing with the 7/2 prefix, but Hard Day's Night, what a great early album by the Beatles at their peak. Then we get into the Rolling Stones, underrated albums.
Winston O. Boogie said Bits and Pieces drum beat inspired by the Beatle boots.
Yeah, Dave Clark 5 didn't do that drum beat. We talked about that last time. Mr. Graham was hired by Dave Clark to do the powerful drumming. That's what makes those Dave Clark 5 hits, that powerful drumming on those, what song did he mention? I Like It Like That?
Bits and Pieces?
Bits and Pieces, yeah. And Glad All Over, the drums really get you. This takes time. You got to listen to it more than a few times to really get the impact of the Rolling Stones. Their Satanic Majesty's Request from 1967. Their answer to Sgt. Pepper. And an early Rolling Stones album that's underrated is December's Children and Everybody's the Rolling Stones, with the hits Get Off My Cloud and As Tears Go By. A couple other Rolling Stones albums that I think are underrated. I always like Between the Buttons. This is a mono pressing from the USA. You play it from the beginning to the end. Let's Spend the Night Together all the way to Something Happened to Me Yesterday. The great Rolling Stones 1966 album. And a later album that's pretty dang good, Voodoo Lounge. With the songs Love Is Strong, I always like that. You Got Me Rockin'. I Go Wild. Sure there's some other rockin' songs on that album.
I'm supposed to not be allowed to die. Guy said Dave Clark was smart to keep ownership of the songs, and Paul McCartney envied him for his foresight.
Yeah, he was. He owned it all. If only the Beatles and the Stones and the Who had done that. The Kinks. The Rolling Stones, Goat Head Soup. I graduated from high school and I got this album and I played it to death. Goat Head Soup. I always liked Dancing with Mr. D on there, and Coming Down Again. Heartbreaker I liked a lot. Nicky Hopkins, Billy Preston's on this. Silver Train. Can You Hear the Music? Pretty good album. Underrated Rolling Stones albums. Underrated Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin, you focus pretty much on the beginning of their career, but they had some good albums towards the end there. Presence and In Through the Outdoor. Even Led Zeppelin 3, you got to play it quite a few times to get the full impact of Led Zeppelin 3, because it's different than Led Zeppelin, the first album and the second album. It's not that true, pure rock and roll Led Zeppelin. It's more of a acoustic, toned down. All right, what do you guys think about underrated albums? All right, let's show what's on the table, and then we'll talk about my post office fiasco that took me a month to get. Got this in today. Perry Cox says this is the best example Beatles caboodle kit that he's ever saw in all his years, 40 years of Dylan and Beatles memorabilia. No splits on the edges, the corners, or anything. I don't even want to open it up all the way. I'll just show you there real quick. Perfect shape. It's made by Standard Plastic Products, and it has NIMS Enterprises Limited on the bottom there in small print. And that's the COA showing the picture of this, and Perry Cox said this is to serve this grade Beatles caboodle kit. This item is a gem, 9.9 plus condition to date. Is the finest condition example ever seen by myself, as well as other major Beatle collectible dealers. And he signed it on the bottom there in 1999. All right, put that over there so it don't get anywhere. You gotta be careful. You got it?
Is it a lunchbox?
No, it's a caboodle kit. Kind of like a lunchbox.
Okay, so
Made out of vinyl.
Wolfie Baby said hi, Frank.
How you doing, Wolfie Baby?
Yeah, caboodle kit, I guess you'd put more of, like, I don't know.
It's more for girls.
Yeah.
Put your knickknacks, your makeup in. Whatever you had there in the 64, what girls collected. Little things. This is the 2017, the Beatles Hot Wheels 5-car premium set. Was only issued by Toys R Us. You can only buy it at Toys R Us. Of course, Toys R Us aren't open anymore in the United States, but they are open in Canada. And this sold today on eBay right away when I put it up there. We'll put that over there.
Yes. On the Punch Not Be Loud Die said In Through the Outdoor was really a John Paul Jones inspired album.
John Paul Jones.
And is at the time they were starting to feel like dinosaurs.
Yeah, they after they did Madison Square Garden in 1973, and then they toured the world 75, and they were starting to the wear and tear of being on the road for 69, 70, 71, 72, 73 really wore them down.
Ain't the Hot Wheels sold?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. Wolfie Baby, they're sold.
This is the Led Zeppelin How the West Was Won, the best live presentation ever of Led Zeppelin. It was recorded in 1972 in Los Angeles and Long Beach. And this is a 4 LP, 3 CD, and a DVD sealed box set from 2018.
Winston said, nice shirt, Frank, and have a mint Aladdin lunchbox going to end value.
Going to what?
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what it's supposed to mean.
I've been looking at the Beetle lunch boxes because I wanted to get another one. I've sold 3 of them at $3,000 a piece, and they're impossible to find the near mint anymore. Every one I see on the internet has a lot of wear and is only in very good condition.
They asked if a mint Aladdin lunchbox would be going up in value.
And that would be yes, because it's hard to find.
Yes, yes. I would buy any of mine back easily for $3,500. The ones I sold for $3,000 because I think they're going to be a $5,000 item in the future.
Now you got someone to sell it to, Winston.
You have a graded 9 lunchbox and thermos. They're impossible to find. They're all in private collections. Couple other notes. Stranger Things had their last episode, and they had a lot of songs that they pushed in the soundtrack. And the songs from last year, like
They have Purple Rain.
that's my next. Thank you.
Hey,
You know she watches it.
All right, well, then you know what I'm talking about. Last year, they made this song be in the top 20 on Spotify, Every Breath You Take by The Police. And The Clash, Should I Stay or Should I Go is in the UK charts, on the singles charts from Stranger Things. And you know about Running Up the Hill by Kate Bush. And this year they playing I Think We're Alone Now by Tiffany. And on the last episode they did 2 Prince songs, When Doves Cry and Purple Rain. So that'll go back on the charts. They did David Bowie, Heroes, Fleetwood Mac, Landslide, the Pixies, Here Comes Your Man. The Pixies were here at Bourbon and Beyond, but they played real late the day we went, and they're playing the song Cowboy Junkie, Sweet Jane.
Winston said easy 9. Yeah.
What's that?
For the lunchbox.
He said he had a 9 lunchbox easy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to see that in person to verify that.
On the post I'll be able to die said, look up Celestial Fortunes for Robert Plant watching 8-year-old Yoko Somo playing drums like John Bonham.
All right. Uncle Paul's Beatles Pop Playhouse. That is his car.
That said that. It was on Paul Nutt.
But Uncle Paul's here, right?
I don't know. I haven't seen him yet.
No, it's Paul
It's
Sedan.
Perry in Canada.
Barry in Canada?
Yeah.
Okay. On the charts this week, on the Billboard US singles, I don't think Gabby's in the chat today, but there's a song that she would like on number 22 by Cat's Eye called how do you say it? Gabriella? Gabriella by Cat's Eye. I would think Gabby would like that. On the album charts, Fleetwood Mac is number 15 with Rumors. Billie Eilish is number 16. And give me my Chapel Roan album. Chapel Roan went from 50 up to 24 this week on the Billboard album charts in the USA. It has been on the charts for 93 weeks. This album has been on the Billboard album charts for 93 weeks in a row.
Wow.
That's pretty, way to go, Chapel.
Danny Goldstein said, Frampton Comes Alive turned
That's sealed. Would you
years
be
old
careful
the
with
other
that?
day.
Frampton Comes Alive had the 50th anniversary a few days ago. Yes. And there's a big controversy on the internet where was the audience really live on that album, or did they mix up? Did they do some fake audience? And Peter Frampton has stated that was really the audience. They might have mixed it up a little louder, but that was the live audience on those live tracks. But they did do some remixing of the where they do some more. They improved the guitars and some of the instruments, but the audience was not tampered with. That's what they're saying anyway. But that was a big album 50 years ago.
Davey said Frampton played South Florida recently, maybe a month ago.
All right. He thought he was going to retire. This must be his last tour. On the album charts, also, Journey Hits is number 65. It's been on the charts for 890 weeks. Can you imagine that? And Nirvana is number 55 with Nevermind. It's been on the Billboard charts for 755 weeks. And Michael Jackson Thriller is number 59. It's been on the charts for 511 weeks. So the young crowd really like those albums, and also the CCR Clearance Clearwater Revival Chronicle. They like that. What else on the charts I got to talk about? The UK charts, the number on the singles charts in the UK, Ray's number 1 with Where's My Husband, and number 16 because of Stranger Things, I'll say that right. Yeah, Stranger Things. I haven't watched any of the episodes, but Sticker Granddaughters watched them all. Did you watch the last one?
It was stupid. Bad ending.
Kate Bush is number 16 with Running Up the Hill, and already Tiffany's on the charts at 29 with I Think We're Alone Now because of Stranger Things. Am I saying that right?
Yep, Stranger Things.
And in the UK single charts, Chappell Roan is number 38 with Pink Pony Club, and The Clash is number 42 with Should I Stay or Should I Go? I remember playing that at parties when 30 years ago or more. The Police, number 58 with Every Breath You Take. And another song from that's on the new Marty Supreme movie at the movie theaters, Tears for Fears, Everybody Wants to Rule the World is number 80. You know my story. I met Kurt Smith in New York when 97X took me out to New York, and they took me to some clubs at night, and some of the DJs did, and we saw Kurt Smith get out of his Rolls Royce, and I went up to him and got his autograph. That's when Tears for Fears was number 1 on the charts.
Get caught up on the Frampton notes real quick, because it's really
Winston said, well, Danny Goldstein said, oh, so I can tell you that the brother of a friend of mine was actually in the audience and could be heard yelling between one of the songs.
So in that video where you're saying, was the audience real? That's what
on the Frampton Comes Alive.
He's saying it's real.
It's real, but they had to really mix up the audience. You like on the Beatles concerts, they had to try to mix the audience down, but on Frampton Comes Alive, they did it the opposite way, I think.
Winston said, saw Peter live at Anaheim 1976. The encore volume by audience of Do You Feel Like We Do was the loudest I've ever heard.
The controversy about that Frampton Comes Alive, it was recorded when he wasn't on top of the charts and he wasn't that popular. And that's why a lot of people thought it was some fake audience put in there.
Dave Evans said Frank the UK OG of Frampton Comes Alive is extraordinary audio.
I've never heard it before. Talking about UK pressings, I got one here.
And Greg Field said Peter Frampton opened for Yes.
This is a 1982 UK pressing of Real Music, and it's got -1 HTM in the dead wax. I'm holding on to this one because it sounds so good there, Dave, but I'll try to buy another one. Parlophone label, -1 HTM. Harry T. Moss would go into the vaults at Abbey Road Studios, and like the Beatles from Liverpool box set, he knew how to cut the Beatle tracks a lot better than they did in the USA. Harry T. Moss, when did he retire from working for the Beatles. Would that have been about 87, late 80s? I know they had a Andrew Milton from Polygram Auction has a picture of Harry T. Moss at his retirement party. Perry Cox sold some items for a lot of money in the last few days. He sold an Abbey Road USA pressing from 1969 just because it had manufactured by Apple Records on the bottom of the label. It sold for $1,500 yesterday. He also sold a West mono butcher cover. This is my East Coast that I peeled, but his West Coast wasn't in any better shape than this one. He sold it for $1,100. He also sold a Love Me Do Tolly on the Tolly label, white label promo, near mint condition for $1,425 for a 1 7-inch record. And he sold the VJ EP from 1964 souvenir of their visit to America. It was in excellent condition. He sold it for $355. A few years ago, Perry Cox had a whole case of those, of old stock that he sold from $300 to $400 a piece, but they're all been sold. I'd like to have a few of them back because that'll be another item that'll be worth more than $500 now.
Greg Field said bass player for yes. Chris Squire was saying. Squire was saying, how do we follow that? Speaking from the Frampton crowd.
Because they followed Frampton.
Yeah, that was kind of like when I saw in the late '87 at River Bend Music Amphitheater in Cincinnati. I saw Guns N' Roses when they were on top of the charts, open for Aerosmith. That was kind of a tough job for Aerosmith to follow Guns N' Roses. That would be pretty tough. Guns N' Roses at their peak.
Winston said tonight Perry Cox Abbey Road vinyl jumped 1,000 in the last 3 seconds.
It's the one I just talked about.
Okay, well,
it went for $1,500. So it went from $500 to $1,500 in 3 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah, I was bidding on a. The other day, I was bidding on something that went from $200 to $777 in 2 seconds. And I can't remember what it is. I talked to Mikey Arugula about it. Oh, it was the Ringo puppet from the the Beatles candy box in 1964. The Ringo puppet. You got one puppet in each candy box. And somebody had a near mint puppet and a candy wrapper, and it went from $200 to $777 in a matter of a microsecond.
Danny Goldstein said, Frank, were you possibly at the Who concert in Cincy in 1980?
Who concert I was at in Bloomington, Indiana in 1975 with Keith Moon. I was not at the 1980. That's where the disaster happened.
Yeah,
Riverfront Coliseum.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were doing the sound check, and they and the audience was all. It was what do they call that then, where you didn't have reserved seating? First come, first serve, and they were all these big guys and everything were practically beating the doors down, and then they finally opened up to because it was out of control, and some young girls and skinny kids got trampled. About 9 of them died.
Yeah,
and they didn't even tell the Who when they were performing because they thought that would hurt their performance.
Yeah, he just said yes, Riverfront, when the kids died.
And Roger Daltrey went back there many years later and did a concert and apologized.
DV said, does Perry sell on eBay? What is his store name?
Perry Cox.
Winston said, hard to know when snipers appear on eBay.
Yeah, they happen.
Introducing the Beatles version 2 with hype sticker. Perry Cox sold for $760. Mine wasn't as in good a shape that I got in yesterday, but I sold it right away for $299 on eBay. And some of the purchases I have coming in, I talked about the Rubber Soul poster. I have a Help First Press UK mono coming in. Dave Evans has one of these already, Get Your Yayas Out UK 1978 live. One of the best live albums there is. He can vouch for that. Get Your Yayas Out by the Rolling Stones. And I have 4 Hard Day's Night Theater handbills that are 7.5 by 13 inch that were for a Jewel Theater in Nebraska. I have 4. It was a warehouse find. I have 4 of them coming in. And I have a sealed 1980 Beatles for Liverpool box set, the one that was cut by Harry T. Moss. I haven't been about the 3rd time in my life I've had a sealed one come in. And I have a Rolling Stones Black and Blue 1976 factory sealed with the hype sticker coming in. And tomorrow I should get the Pink Floyd, the 1977 UK pressing that has HTM in the dead wax of Dark Side of the Moon. Dark Side of the Moon. That's the title, isn't it? Dark Side of the Moon? Yeah, Dark Side of the Moon.
Dave Evans said Frank is the Abbey Road mastered by Capitol Records, just listed on the B-side. I have a US copy that I've had for 45 years.
Yep. Don't understand. I know it's rare, but I didn't know it was. I've never seen a USA copy go for $1,500. I sold a misaligned Apple that went out in the mail today, UK, the first pressing for $188.
Sticker Kid said bark, bark, bark.
How you doing, Sticker Kid?
Sticker Brat.
Sticker Brat.
And then they said Perry D. Cox as the name for Greg.
Perry D. Cox.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing Sticker Brat this weekend.
Hopefully he's having fun back at school.
All right, let's talk about the post office debacle.
Hold on,
One
Dave
second.
Evans real
Dave
quick.
Evans said Frank agree on the Stones, best pressing I've ever heard.
Yep.
Alright, now I'm caught up.
And thank you for saying bless you.
All right, take Beatles for sale off the table. Mikey's not in the audience, so I can't make fun of Mr. Moonlight. How many of you have played Mr. Moonlight enough now that you appreciate John Lennon's vocal on Mr. Moonlight and the organ playing?
Danny Goldstein said he needs to get some popcorn for the post office story.
Who does?
Danny Goldstein.
Oh, popcorn.
He's saying because he's getting ready for your store. He's getting popcorn.
Oh,
ready
getting
to
some
send.
popcorn. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Here we go from the retired DJ on the East Coast. This was sent out Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. It was sent out the following Monday. It came to Louisville several weeks later. The tracking shows it was picked up in the middle of the night at a P.O. box that wasn't mine. And we thought it was lost forever. And I got this in 2 days ago with some labels taken off. It looks to me like the person that got this took it back to the post office, and I got an apology from the postmaster there on the back saying, "We care." And it's signed, it says, "Please accept our apology. Sincerely, your postmaster." So there's hope if you get something lost in the mail. So it came in this Crosley. They gave this away as a freebie. If you bought several things on Record Store Day, Black Friday, you got this wicked Crosley cloth bag. And inside it, the things I wanted that he picked up for me are these items. Of course, I had to get a Chaperone Black Friday of the Subway and the Giver on the back. Had to get the Led Zeppelin Trampled Underfoot. The Billie Eilish Still Sealed EP. It's a live EP. Billie Eilish was into the Beatles when she was young. It's got Skinny, Leamora, Wildflower. I like Wildflower a lot, and Birds of a Feather on it. And my favorite Charlie XCX song that she wrote, it's a banger, one of my top 10 bangers of the 21st century. I Love It by Icona Pop.
505 Rolos said RSD.
And the last thing I got was a Free Will and Bob Dylan that had the deleted tracks on there of Rock and Gravel, Let Me Die in My Footsteps, Ramblin' Gamblin' Willie, and Talking John Burt's Paranoid Blues. He was going to do that song, I think, on the Ed Sullivan Show in the rehearsal. Talking John Burt's Paranoid Blues. People at Ed Sullivan says that you cannot do that song on Ed Sullivan. He says, well, then I won't perform on Ed Sullivan. And he never did.
What's your record store day 2026 predictions?
Record store 20, I don't know. What's your predictions?
But
I don't have any. I'm sure maybe they'll come out with some new Paul McCartney colored vinyl, or Ringo Starr colored vinyl, or liquid. What's the new thing? Liquid vinyl?
Ew. Why would you want liquid on your vinyl?
Liquid inside the vinyl.
Ew.
That's my post.
Wolfie Baby want to know what you're selling the Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan album. For Wolfie Baby. I'd sell that to you, Wolfie Baby.
For what?
Give me an offer on my email there, Wolfie Baby, and I'll sell it to you.
Winston O'Boogie said, do you like the Knack?
Do I like the Knack? I love the Knack.
No, he doesn't.
I wish I would have seen the Knack there at that Carnegie Hall concert that I have on Laserdisc. That was amazing. I was into the Knack big time when they first came out.
He loves the Beatles.
Yeah, but the Knack were like the Beatles. Especially the lead, Doug Seeger, was heavily influenced by the Beatles.
Mm.
Kind of like Oasis is heavily influenced by the Beatles. All right. What other questions do you guys have? I got a few other things I can show. Got this from Kevin at Kevin Records here in Louisville yesterday. The Beatles' Greatest. This is a German pressing. My Sharona and Good Girls Don't. My Sharona, when I hear that in on the music system there at the grocery store, that song is a banger for all time.
Yeah, that's a good song.
And they remixed and put an extra heavy guitar track when they put that in the movie Reality Bites. If you ever heard the soundtrack of Reality Bites, the version of My Sharona even rocks more on that version than the original. And a Beatles Golden, a collection of Beatles oldies that was released in 1966 in the United Kingdom because they had already released a Revolver, that album, that year, and they were thinking about doing Sgt. Pepper, so they didn't have an album to release, so they rush released this album here in the United Kingdom. This is a German pressing. GEMA, if you got GEMA on the label, it is a German pressing. The Germans knew how to press Beatles albums in the late 70s.
Greg feels that having dinner with Prescott and Niles, bass player for the Knack soon.
Yep. Niles.
Doug Feeder has a huge Beatles fan, R.I.P. Oh, was.
Yep. One of the biggest Beatle fans there was when he was alive. It's kind of like, who's the biggest performing Beatles fan that was on A little trivia question was on Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve. Talk about a Beatle collection. He has the best collection of original Beatle lyrics of any collector in the world. What's his name? Anybody answering that?
Not yet.
Not yet. You just said it.
You gonna give him a second. A little bit of delay.
Got some dead air going. What do I talk about next?
How my birthday's next week.
David Bowie.
Dawn's is 3 days.
So the performer that's 76 years old, the collector of Beatle lyrics, original lyrics in the world is Rick Springfield.
That's what Thomas Crook just said.
Rick Springfield.
Thomas Crook
I heard
said-
Jesse's Girl today on the radio. That's a banger for all time, Jesse's Girl.
Where'd you hear that?
When he was interviewed on the Beatles Sirius radio, the Beatles channel, they interviewed him for like 40 minutes, and they wanted to know about his experience of seeing the Beatles in Sydney, Australia. And then they wanted to talk to him about Jesse's Girl. And then Rick Springfield wanted to talk about the other 3 hits he had had. One of them was written by Sammy Hagar. And they didn't want to talk about that at all. They just wanted to talk about his association with the Beatles. So he was kind of upset on that interview. But Jesse's Girl, they did want to talk about that because it's, like I said, a banger for all time. Number one in 1980. David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust. Can't get away from that. That's my, I think, most played album that I got from last year. And I played this several times. I played some more. Aladdin Sane. These are both UK pressings. I'm searching out, trying to get other UK pressings from artists like this from the 70s. That's my search now when I'm on the internet.
Greg Field said Ringo and Joe Walsh attended Doug's memorial at Voodoo Lounge on Sunset. Ringo teared up as the Beatles was mentioned in the eulogy over a dozen times by Doug's sister Beth. Less than 200 people in attendance for their memorial for Doug.
Yep. Yep, that was a touching story that Greg sent me where about the night before when Ringo visited Doug at his deathbed and said some of the lyrics of Yellow Submarine.
Wolfie Baby said, I saw Rick Springfield about 10 years ago. He was 65 and instantly became one of my most fun concert experiences.
Who saw him?
Wolfie Baby.
Wolfie Baby. I just can't believe his performance there on New Year's Eve. It was supposed to be all live. His guitar playing and his singing for a 76-year-old man. He's the ultimate. What's the man that was in his 90s that worked out until his 90s? Jack Delane, I think. Well, Rick Springfield is the Jack Delane of this generation, being a 76-year-old man.
Patricia said Rick Springfield did an interesting interview on Billy Corgan's channel a few months ago. A very emotional guy.
He also was on the Mars show too.
And DV said, I think my wife had a crush on Rick
Springfield. I think a lot of people women had a crush, probably men too, crush on Rick Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what else you want to talk about today? Got my UK pressing of Hey Jude. That's the one that you want to get. 1970 and the other audiophile pressing I got. This is the second one I had in the last year of Ram UK first pressing. Talk about an album not appreciated when it came out. Rolling Stones trashed it. One of the best albums ever from this would be 1971.
Dave Evans said Andrew from Polygram, question mark.
What about Andrew from Polygram? Andrew Milton.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I'm Brayden trying to call me for some reason.
Yeah, the phone going off.
Gosh dang it. Frank, why would you do that?
All right, I think I've run out of things to show tonight. Hopefully we'll get lots of stuff in that I got supposed to be coming, but you never know about the post office. But UPS is already scheduled on that rubber sole poster for tomorrow.
Wish me an 18th birthday.
And FedEx, every time I ship something from FedEx, 2-day delivery, it gets there on 2 days. It's guaranteed. All right, she's wishing her, how old would you be, 18?
Yep.
All right.
What you got, Sean?
What do you-
birthday coming up in
What do you
3
want
days?
what do you want for a birthday besides a car?
Money.
Money.
Cash.
All right. Thanks a lot from Louisville, Kentucky. We'll see you on Saturday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Happy
See ya.
birthday, Sean.